Why Senator Sinema quit the Dems, poo-pooing Musk's Twitter files and other commentary. Why Senator Sinema left the Democratic Party, reading from right to left. According to Jim Garrity of National Review, Democrats, maybe you shouldn't have chased Senior Kyrsten Sinema into the restroom last year instead of denouncing the attack on her more loudly. Democrats, maybe you shouldn't have chased Senior Kyrsten Sinema into the bathroom. It is true that it wasn't the bathroom incident alone that made Sinema leave the Democratic Party on Friday, but that affair did show that her party's activists prefer harassment to persuasion and that its leaders don't feel compelled to defend her. In other words, it wasn't the bathroom incident alone that made Sinema leave the Democratic Party. The problem is that if you keep treating a member of your party like an enemy, sooner or later she will decide she might as well become an enemy. Sinema wants to steer legislation in the direction of the center-left, while a certain segment of the Democratic Party's base believes that anyone who hinders or delays them from getting what they want is an enemy. Sinema wants to steer legislation in the direction of the center-left. Play-acting strike by members of the New York Times staff. Jack Schaefer of Politico scoffs that we've witnessed relatively paltry gestures like Thursday's walkout by New York Times employees before, and that management didn't suffer even a pinprick as a result of it. At one time, newspaper unions were powerful enough to drive newspapers under with prolonged strikes, but advances in computer typesetting and other technologies have made that impossible. Have changed the union management dynamic in a way that benefits management. Additionally, newspapers have lost the economic and cultural centrality they held 60 years ago. This is the reason why the News Guild has almost no leverage in its struggle against the paper. Indeed, even the most ardent New York Times reader will admit that newspapers are fungible. Readers can turn to the web for timely news. So while fighting the bosses has never been easy, acting out during labor disputes has never resulted in the winning of a new and lucrative contract. The new attack on jobs by the City Council, according to the Libertarians. The Secure Jobs Act, proposed by Councilwoman Tiffany Caban, asserts that its purpose is to protect workers against unfair and arbitrary firings. However, the Secure Jobs Act's mandates would likely make work much more precarious for many New Yorkers, according to Elizabeth Nolan Brown of Reason. In point of fact, the measure threatens to destroy at-will employment, which allows employers to fire poorly performing workers without facing a complicated and time-consuming process. In European countries with such laws, workers face a treadmill of temporary work contracts and a cycle of constant job searches. This has proven to be particularly detrimental for workers aged 24 and younger, with 42% of them on temporary contracts. To summarize, the Secure Jobs Act could drive jobs out of New York. Poo-pooing Elon Musk's Twitter files, according to conservatives. As soon as writer Matt Taibbi posted relevant information from Elon Musk's Twitter files about censoring the Post's Hunter Biden reporting, a liberal network of Twitter personalities and journalists quickly got to work in an effort to dismiss the notion that anything untoward had occurred, quips Carol Markowicz at Fox News. A liberal network of Twitter personalities and journalists quickly got to work in an attempt to dismiss the however it had. The information demonstrated that Twitter worked closely with the Biden campaign to remove messages that it disliked, providing assistance that Team Trump could never even expect to acquire. Obviously, this means that it is important for the left that this story goes away, because it confirms that there is not equal treatment for both sides of the political aisle. However, the files are important. Sunlight is the best disinfectant, and people in the United States should see the clear bias of social media. Progressive strategies for Democrats to broaden their support base. In order to break the political impasse in the United States, Democrats require a fresh approach. By significantly increasing the size of their coalition, Will Marshall argues in The Hill. Step 1. Put an end to the hemorrhaging of ethnic voters from working-class backgrounds. Voters of African American, Hispanic, and Asian descent are vehemently opposed to the idea of defunding the police. The Democratic Party's economic message also reflects the ideological predilections of college-educated professionals, rather than the aspirations of non-college voters. The same can be said for the left's fanciful Green New Deal, the environmental equivalent of a Soviet-style 5-year plan. Can shoot for the stars by adopting a consensus-breaking politics of persuasion. Sinema quit the Dems, poo-pooing Musk's Twitter files and other commentary.